now we're on chapter 9. It talks about, it says, and God blessed Noah and his sons, and it said to them, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth. The fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast or animal of the earth, and upon every bird of the heavens, upon everything that creeps on the ground, and all the fish of the sea. Into your hand they are delivered. Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. And as I gave you the green plants, I give you everything. But you shall not eat flesh with its life, that is its blood. And for you lifeblood, this is, and for your lifeblood, I will require a reckoning. From every beast I will require it, and for man, from his fellow man, I will require a reckoning for the life of man. Whoever sheds the blood of man, by man shall his blood be shed. For God made man in his own image. Right here, God talking about, of course, basically the death sentence. God's saying if man kills man, then he should die for it. That's what he's talking about. And you be fruitful, multiply, teem on the earth, and multiply in it. Then God said to Noah and to his sons with him, behold, I establish my covenant with you and your offspring after you, and with every living creature that is with you, the birds, the livestock, and every beast of the earth says with you. As many as came out of the ark is for every beast of the earth. I establish my covenant with you, that never again shall all flesh be cut off by the waters of the flood, and never again shall there be a flood to destroy the earth. And God said, this is the sign of the covenant that I make between me and you, and every living creature that is with you, for all future generations. I have set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and the earth. When I bring clouds over the earth, and the bow is seen in the clouds, I will remember my covenant that is between me and you and every living creature of all the flesh. It says, and the water shall never again become a flood to destroy all flesh. When the bow is in the clouds, I will see it, and then remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is on the earth. God said to Noah, this is the sign of the covenant that I have established between me and all flesh that is on the earth. Of course, God's talking about the rainbow, which we all know. Of course, the rainbow signifies God's covenant, God's promise that he will never flood the earth again. Noah's descendants. The sons of Noah who went forth from the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham was the father of Canaan. These three were the sons of Noah. And from these, it says, and from these the people of the whole earth were dispersed. It says that, so basically we all came from Adam and Eve. And whenever God wiped out the earth the first time by the great flood, of course Noah, and of course we all get that Adam and Eve. That's where mankind came out of, was from Adam and Eve. So Noah began to be a man of the soil, and he planted a vineyard. He drank of the wine, became drunk, and laid uncovered in his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father, and told his two brothers outside. Then Shem and Japheth took a garment, laid it on both their shoulders, and walked backward and covered the nakedness of their father. Their faces were turned backward, and they did not see their father's nakedness. When Noah awoke from his wine, and knew what his youngest son had done to him, he asked, cursed be Canaan, a servant shall he be to his brothers. Now get this, okay? Canaan, alright? Canaan was, of course, that's what the promised land was called before it was called Israel. It was called Canaan. And then during Jesus' time it was called Palestine, on up until Israel became a nation in 1948. Now here it talks about Noah says, "Cursed be Canaan." Canaan is, of course, that's where Israel is now. But before it was called Palestine and Israel and all that, it was called Canaan. And Noah is saying, "Cursed be Canaan." And of course, Canaan was where all the what are they called? Pagans. That's where they all lived. That was before Israel went in and took over the nation here in the Old Testament. But before Israel went in and took over the nation, there was pagans living in that country, in Canaan, and they were, of course, Satanists. Pretty much, they worshiped the devil and his demons. So yeah, I mean, cursed that land. You know, he cursed it. He cursed it with the pagans, the Satanists that worship the devil and his demons. And then God destroyed them when He brought in Israel to, of course, come in and take over the nation. So this all goes back to here in Genesis. It's really awesome. It says, hold on real quick. It says, he also said, "Blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem, and let Canaan be his servant. May God enlarge Japheth, and let him dwell in the tents of Shem, and let Canaan be his servant." After the flood, Noah lived 350 years. All the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died. So that's chapter 9. It's very amazing, isn't it, that here in Genesis 9, Noah actually curses Canaan. And of course, Canaan was before it's called Palestine, Israel. It was called Canaan. Here in the Old Testament, it was called Canaan. New Testament was called Palestine until Israel became a nation in 1948. But it was called Canaan, and Noah cursed Canaan, and of course Canaan later on it's where all the pagans lived. It's where of course pagans are Satanists, and they worship the devil and his demons. And God destroyed them whenever He brought Israel, of course, into the nation to of course destroy these evil paganists that were worshiping the devil and his demons. When God brought them in to destroy them, then He gave the land to Israel. So yeah, God will use nations to, of course, destroy evil nations. God will use people to, of course, destroy evil people. You know, we see that a lot in war, of course. But I mean, it does happen, and it's biblical. And here it happens in Genesis. Well, actually starts in Genesis, but of course it happens all throughout the Old Testament. By God using Israel to, of course, destroy all these evil nations. But later on, Israel, of course, rebels against God, goes into sin, and God sends them into exile for their sins and all that. And then later on, they come back to God. I don't know what happens later in the Old Testament, but I mean, it's very amazing things that you study in the Bible. You know, it really is. So I'll be back with Genesis chapter 10. God bless.